Unique Mecca Audio. I'm going to be doing a little Throwback Thursday where, I'm going to be coming on here and I'm going to tell you my little throwback story. I told y'all about the joint when I was at Miami with the, my family kept yelling about the booby boys, you know what I mean? But like I said, you know me, I might downplay things, but, because to me this was about nothing. I got the Tech 9 on the seat, you know what I mean? And, I go meet a little cutie and, like I said, the little joint kept circling, you know what I mean? Like an old Caprice or something kept circling. Little drop top, it was painted with the little flip flop. In Miami, they had like what they had there, like the bowling ball. Y'all know what the bowling ball paint job is. If you know what the bowling ball paint job is, let me know what it is, But, so I'm down there in Miami and everything going good. I'm gonna give y'all another one real quick. I go to the Rolex, right? All right, I'll give you a typical night. Let me give you a typical night. All right, Sunday night, I like to have dinner with my mom. So I used to catch the Pan Am flight straight down to Miami at 9:50, get there by, close to 11. Mom's pick me up, I go get something to eat. I shoot by the Rolex, I go see, what little cuties in there, if I got my eye on something or not, because they usually open longer than Luke's on the beach, or 5th Street, you know what I mean? And even longer than Big Daddy's, 119 or, over there on 3rd or whatever, So y'all from Miami know what I'm talking about. So now, I go get something to eat after I fly down on the 9:10 flight, and then I shoot down to check what I want in Rolex. If I see something I like, I say, okay, I'm going to come back and get that. So I walk over and I tell the little cutie in the ear, yo, I'll be back. I'm trying to take you home tonight. I don't even wait for a response. I just tell her straight up in the ear. You know what I mean? Because when you get money and you the man, you understand what I'm saying? You don't ask questions. You just take what you want and tell them what you want. And everybody works for you. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody works for you. So I whisper in a little cutie ear, yo, I'll be back. You know what I mean? I'm going to come take you home tonight. And they'll usually look at me like, oh, nigga, you crazy. Yeah, and I'll peel out. Now, let me give you my attire. This is before we had, Carl Kanai and all that. You know what I mean? I'm talking about like 89. Because don't forget, if y'all from Miami, y'all already know, before Rolex was a strip club, it was a regular disco, regular club you going, you know what I mean? And at that time, they had strawberries. Big shout out. Big shout out to strawberries. Big shout out to strawberries. And we got to give it a gunshot. We got to give it a gunshot. You know what I mean? Big shout out to strawberries. So now, you know what I mean? So, roll up in there and you peel out. Then I'll go on the beach, you know what I mean? Go over the little bridge, take 95, go up over the bridge. So y'all know I know I'm talking about. Because so many people come up here on YouTube faking. Y'all don't, like to believe the real. Especially when it sounds, extravaganzosia. You know what I mean? Extravagant, So I shoot over the bridge. I go over there to Luke's and, it might be, I was going to tell you about my attire. See how my mind be all over the place? Because when I have a flashback, things just go all over. So just bear with me and let me ride. All right? Just let me ride. So now, I had on, I'm going to give you an outfit. I'm going to give you one of my favorite outfits. I used to love the felines with the crest on the side. Those look like the female 5411s, but the men joints was the feline crest is what they call it. You know what I mean? So now, it got the little crest on the side, all white, got the strap on it, the double strap at the top like the 5411s. 5411 that DMX talked about. Those are the Reeboks that the girls wore. They called $49.95 at KP Kong with tax. It was $54.11. So a female would just tell you back there, yeah, I'm trying to cop a pair of 5411s. I need a pair of 5411s. You know what I mean? So they telling you they need $54.11. You know what I mean? See, if you're cheap and petty, I've seen dudes actually give females $54.11 exactly. You know what I mean? Now, picture a girl, or y'all are females, picture, you telling the dude you want a pair of 5411s and they give you exact change, $54.11. Big shout out to the cheap niggas. Big shout out to the cheap niggas. You know what I mean? And then you got the little corner boys that might give them $55. You know what I mean? And now I should have bought a dummy roll so I could show you what a dummy roll looked like back in the day. You know what I mean? So back in the day, we had a joint where we used to have like maybe 100 singles. Remember, we selling $2, $3 cracks. You know what I mean? Crack wraps. So you got about 200-300 singles, big old wad like this. So now you got the wad on you, and you put like maybe 3 or 4, 20s on the end, and then you pull it out. You understand what I'm saying? You peel in, and you go, and you peel through all these bills, but it's all once, and then you hand them $1. You know what I mean? To give them $1. Go get me a blunt, baby. You know what I mean? And she go get you a blunt. Then you call her back and, you know, you pull it back out, you do the same thing, and now you give her $2, you know, get me a Heineken and get yourself one. You know what I mean? Because it was only $1 for Heinekens back then. Now, so that's how we used to play it. But my outfit when I go down to Miami, I like to be like on my college board time, because you have Miami-Dade down there. So, you know, like when I'm in Virginia down at, you know, Norfolk State, or you know, I'm at Howard, you know what I mean, over there, I mean, in D.C., you know, Hampton, over there in Newport News. You know, wherever I'm at, you know, I like to blend in and look like a college kid, like old rich chocolate college dude from mid-Montana somewhere. You know what I mean? So I go to Macy's and I get, you know, I go straight to the Liz Claiborne collection. Yeah, Liz Claiborne, female. Big shout out to Liz Claiborne. Big shout out to Liz Claiborne. Let's give her a gunshot. Let's give Liz Claiborne some gunshots. Now, Liz Claiborne, you know, used to make the little button-down shirts. You know, the shirt that had the, you know, that button down, the collar button down, your little short sleeve joint. And, you know, then they had like the different color shorts or long pants that go with it. So I get like, you know what I mean? And I know, you know, Cameron introduced y'all to it, but I'm just letting you know how, you know, I was doing it back then. I get like the pink shirt, the light pink shirt, you know what I mean? Dress shirt, you know. I throw on my little Rolex choker, you know, that says Unique God on it, you know. And then I might throw on another, you know, Cuban link custom made chain, and I have on that sex. I'm gonna show y'all some pictures. I got pictures of everything I say. So I love, you know, but nobody challenges me because they already know I was that man back then. But, you know, I had the joint with the sex on it with diamonds. You know what I mean? So when a female asked me what my name was, I told her sex, because that's what I'm here for. You know what I mean? I'm here to give you a whole lot of sex. You know what I mean? Because, you know, I'm going out of town. And, you know, when you go out of town, you're going out to go look for a female. Like when you go to the beach, what they say, don't bring sand to the beach. You don't bring sand to the beach because you're going there to meet a female, so why go with a female? So I put it on my neck in diamonds so we could cut through all the chitty chatter. You know what I mean? So when they see that, they say, oh, what's your name? And I said, come on, my name is Sex, baby. I'm here to get it to you. You know what I mean? So just fall back and enjoy the ride. You know, and they be like, oh, you think you one of them smooth talkers. You must be from New York City. You know what I mean? They don't say New York. They say New York City. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm down there doing my thing. So I got the little pink Liz Claiborne shirt, and I get the little light blue shorts to go with it. You know what I mean? And I get the little footsies. You know what I mean? And don't go laugh, fellas. Don't go laugh. You know, because I know, you know, some of the dudes do. But when we thought we was cute, we get the footsies with a little round ball on the back that was really for the females. But we wore that because, you know, we wanted to be cute. You know what I mean? I know, you know, sometimes I might feel, you know, I might feel a little freaky, and I might throw the little anklet on, you know, with diamonds around my ankle with the little footsies or something to bring attention to my feet with the, you know, that's how we do, man. But I got the Liz Claiborne pink shirt on, Liz Claiborne powder, light blue shorts on, and I got the Fila crest on. You know, with the little footsies on, you know, a little ching. And then I used to rock the loop earring that looked like a horseshoe with diamonds in it. And whatever color I'm wearing, like if I'm wearing pink and blue, I get the blue diamond loop, you know what I mean? To, you know, to go match it, you know, throwing a nice pair of Giorgio Armani glasses back then. Didn't even get the tint. Used to get the joint with the transitionals because they was big back then. The glasses might cost you $300. The transition cost you about $150, $200 back then. So that's how, you know, I pull up. So now when I pull up in the joint, I look like a straight college kid. Then I might throw on a baseball cap. And I pull the baseball cap down to the bridge of my eyes to, you know, match with my eyebrows where all you see is my glasses. And, you know, I kind of like bend the brim so I could, you know what I mean? You know, I want to be different. Look like an old truck driver, but, you know, look like old square school kid. You know, that's how we do it. So now I shoot down to Miami Beach down there to Luke's on the beach, you know what I mean? You know, and then across the street, they got a Jamaican club, you know what I mean? Me and my man, Manaman, used to have that. Big shout out to Manaman. Y'all know Manaman from Granny B's. Y'all know Granny B's up there, you know what I mean, on 7th, you know what I mean? Big shout out to Manaman, you know what I mean? So, you know, I go pull up in the joint, but I go over there to Luke's first, and, you know, Luke usually had a little red Ferrari parked out front. You know what I mean? So, you know, in his little private spot. So, you know me now, I back up the green and white twin turbo, or, you know, being that I'm wearing the pink and the blue, you know what I mean? I might jump in the all white BMW drop top, you know what I mean? With, you know, with the blue piping on it, you know what I mean? To match my outfit. You know, you got to get cars to match your outfits, not outfits to match your cars. That's when you know you're getting money. You know what I mean? If it's an outfit you like, you're going to get a car to match. You know what I mean? That's how the money was coming. Big shout out to the crack money. Big shout out to the crack money. You know, hey, remember this is Throwback Thursday. So we're doing a little Throwback Thursday. Everything is good, and this is how we kicking it. You know what I mean? So I just take you on a nice ride early Thursday morning. You know what I mean? So now we got the joint jumping. I roll up in Luke's, and when I go there, I park right next to his joint. You know what I mean? So now when Chinaman or one of them came, you know what I mean? One of his other little rappers came, you know what I mean? You know, like I said, little rappers. Like when one of his little rappers came, you know, no disrespect to him because like I said, I didn't, it wasn't nothing to me. You know what I mean? So when they came now, their spot is taken with the VIP with my fly joint out front. You understand what I'm saying? So now I rolled up to the line and he always had lines all the way around. You think it was crack that Luke was selling. You know what I mean? The lines was just so big. You know what I mean? So, you know, when I roll up in the joint, they got this big ass line. So I roll right up to the front. When I roll up to the front, you already know what I'm doing. I'm peeling my pocket. You know what I mean? I'm handing about, you know, $200-$300. You know what I mean? And just hand it to the bouncer. Say, yo, get this out to the boys and just keep walking. I don't even wait for them to respond. Once they see the money, they just open up and let you in. You know what I mean? Because back then they were charging like $20, $30 to get in. Sometimes $10. You know, that's how that thing was going. But, you know, that it was crazy, you know? But now I rolled up in the joint, and when you go up in the joint, they got the stage all in the back. They got a little sitting area and all that. So I go right up in the front, and, you know, I get me a little drink, and then bring me a little bottle of champagne. I got a little bottle of champagne. You know, I don't do the glass thing. I just, you know, boom. You know what I mean? And just sit there sipping a bottle, you know, while I'm watching the show. I remember one night, right? I'm going to give you all a flashback on one night. Yeah, definitely leave that up there so I can see the comments. I remember one night, I rode up in there. They had this tall white girl that was like a stallion, and she was cut up crazy. Blonde hair and blue eyes. She was so drunk. You know what I mean? If y'all down there in Miami, y'all remember these nights. She was so drunk up in this joint, right? So drunk up in this joint that you had a whole bunch of black dudes around her, and she's wearing a bikini with high heels, and she's on the stage in a club with a bunch of niggas. You know what I mean? I mean, come on, picture that. So you already know what they did. So when they rolled up in the joint and they see this joint, everybody starts swarming around, and she's drunk, and she's trying to, you know, pop the coochie and doodle brown, as y'all call it now, twerk. You know what I mean? So she up there, but she's staggering and all that, and you got dudes with their bottles of champagne, and they hand her a glass, and they just filling the glass up, and she taking it to the neck. Filling the glass up, taking it to the neck. She pissy drunk, could barely stand up. And one thing about the Miami boys, I got to get the Miami boys a shout out. Boom. Let's give them a shout out. Let's get the Miami boys a shout out. Now, the Miami boys, so you understand, right? The Miami boys was so wild. And y'all remember this, ladies, you know, that was down there in Luke's and all that. That's from Miami in general. You know what I mean? Down bottom, they call it. Big shout out to down bottom. You know what I mean? And then we give them a shout out. I got to give them a gunshot. You know what I mean? Big shout out. Them Miami boys was so wild, they was groping the females like they was animals. The females walk by, they sticking their hand all up between their legs, you know, grabbing the goodies and, you know what I mean? Grabbing them all by the breath. Everybody just feel. I'm talking about, picture you females nowadays. You're a little bad female and you walking through the line and, you know, you walking through the crowd. And when you walk through the crowd, dudes are just groping you and grabbing on you. You know what I mean? Come on, man. You know what I mean? I'm looking like, oh, man, because we wasn't doing it like that in New York. So, you know, I'm looking. I said, God damn, this is crazy. And I'm talking about these are some bad females. Of course, you had some females that'll swat their hand off and push them. And some were just trying to run through the line because the Miami boys were just bold, man. I got to give them props. They were just bold. And being that I'm saying Miami boys, let me correct that so y'all don't think I'm being disrespectful. That's what we call them. Like Big Travis, big shout out to Travis Williams. Boom. Big Travis went up to Atlanta. You know what I mean? And when Travis went up to Atlanta, he went up there and he brought busloads of people. If y'all want to hear about Big Travis, I'll bring Travis on here and do a live with Big Travis. Cause I'm getting ready to step my game up because it's 2023. Big Travis went to Atlanta with busloads of dudes from Miami, and they labeled them the Miami boys. You know what I mean? So it's definitely no disrespect when I say the Miami boys, because that's how we called it. Because Miami was big time, like how they said them New York boys. You know what I mean? Them New York boys, them Virginia boys, them Miami boys. So we up in the club and the Miami boys just grabbing everything. And I'm like, oh man, so you know, me, I'm, you know, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. So I start groping. You know what I mean? I want to feel something too. I want to see how the girls act. Because the girls turn around smiling. They were just a whole bunch of fun back then. That's what I like about back then. I like the women back then in the 80s and the 90s way more than the women of the day. And I don't care who get mad at the day, I'm going to say, screw you. You know what I mean? Big shout out to screwing them. Because remember, when we on the street, calm down. When we on the street, we ain't them I love a dog type niggas. We ain't telling you we love you. We telling you straight up, yo, I'm trying to bone you, man. I'm trying to run up in your back. You know what I mean? And that's another thing. I got the shirts I'm getting ready to put back out. Because back then, I had my man Brad Digital used to airbrush the shirts. I had a joint where, I was hitting this female from the back with it's a cartoon drawing. I had a bandana on. The dude had a Mecca Audio bandana. He had the unique Mecca Audio, link chain with the joint flipping in the side with the dark glasses on, and he's holding this chick with a big ass butt. You know what I mean? And got the Mecca Audio stamp on the cheeks, and he running up in it from the back, and you can actually see the joint coming up through her back. That's where I created that saying, blowing her back out. That's how we blew her back out. So you understand. I got the t-shirt. Everything I say, like I said, I got receipts, man. Everything I say, I got receipts. I was a one-man show. Everywhere I went, it was a movie, and I was a star, period. You know what I mean? So y'all say I'm cocky now. So picture me back then with millions running through all these different southern states. But then now, so we up in the joint, and this white girl is on the stage. You know what I mean? You see the way I ride? Just let me ride. Don't say, you never finished the story. He leave us hanging. Because this is my channel. And this the way I kick it with my peoples, and y'all my peoples. You know what I mean? So you understand and respect what I do. You know what I mean? Thank you. And if anybody don't like what I'm doing, take it to the DM and you can tell me Unique, you full of crap. You know what I mean? But if you come on here and put all negative comments in my joint, I'm telling you now, I'm going to block you because I got no tolerance. I'm not doing this for the views. I'm not doing this for the subscribers. You know what I mean? I'm just doing this to have fun, to enlighten the youngins so they know how it was back then. None of this is to brag. This is just to tell you how it was and let you know, you youngins, this is where your mentality going to wind up. So if you want to be disrespecting females like I was disrespecting them, and I'm going to be mad enough to tell all the females listening that I've disrespected in the past, I'm sorry. All right, I'm grown now, and I know that I was wrong, and I know that I was degrading you and everything else. But back then, I was getting money, and I didn't give a crap. Big shout out to not giving a crap. You know what I mean? Big shout out to not giving a crap. You know what I mean? So calm down, relax. So now, what I'm saying is, right, so y'all fully understand. Even though I'm up here laughing, talking, I'm just putting on a good show with a lot of energy. So, but I give a big shout out to, screw you. You know what I mean? When I give a shout out to Screw You, it's not meant as a disrespect. We just having fun. So when you come here, this is how it was in Club 2000. I'm going to get back to the chick on the stage because like I said, I'm riding right now. This is Throwback Thursday. So y'all understand how my channel work. I'm going to let you know how I ran Club 2000 and Mecca Audio. When you come up in Club 2000 and Mecca Audio, I don't care who you got beef with. You know what I mean? It stays out the club and away from the front of the club. You understand? I've had dudes that was on the same blocks having shootouts with each other all day and night. You understand what I'm saying? Police keep coming because they keep shooting at each other. You understand? And at the end of the night, they come to Club 2000, you know what I mean? And they respected me so much, and now my gangster get down, that they put their differences aside, and when they come to any one of my establishments, it was a truce. You understand? So, I mean, I see everything going on now with people talking about, oh, they got ops. Yeah, when your ops come around Unique's establishment, you understand? You respect Unique's establishment. Take your beef back to your block. You come to my establishment to party, or you come to my establishment to come buy some weed on mixtape. You respect my establishment. Because if you don't respect my establishment, then me and you gonna have a problem. You understand what I'm saying? And I don't pick sides. I don't care who won with who over what block. If a nigga weak, take his block. That's how I come. If a nigga weak, take his block. You understand what I'm saying? So when a dude come to me and tell me, yo, such and such pushing up on me, well, nigga, you need to bust your gun. What you telling me for? You know what I mean? Busting his gun. You know what I mean? If you ain't gonna bust your gun, you know what I mean? You don't need to talk to me because you ain't one of me. You know what I mean? And in Jamaica, we say, you know, one are we. You know what I mean? Because we are gonna defend what, what it is we want. And that's the way it was. So if anybody don't understand that, I don't know what to tell you. This is how it was back then. This is how it is on the street. I know now it's insaturated with dudes that don't know the rules. That's why we got Unique Mecca Audio over here, because we're going to teach you the rules and teach you how to get down. You understand what I'm saying? So don't get it twisted. Don't come here playing no games. Tell me in my DM on Instagram at Unique Mecca Audio, right there, that's on the screen. Unique, you're full of crap and I don't agree with you. Now, if you got a comment and you want to say it and you don't agree with me, say it respectful. You know what I mean? And then, I respond, because I respond to all my comments. So if I see some old negative crap in there, because I'm responding myself. If I see something negative, I just boop, delete, block. You know what I mean? Next nigga. You know what I mean? Or should I say next troll? I don't play that, man. Let's just get that straight. But anyway, so let's take it back. So y'all understand that when you come to Club 2000 and Mecca Audio, come around my establishment, everything is run smooth. You put your beefs aside, you come in there, you put your gun up, you give me your gun, you have to put your gun in a big ass box, you know what I mean, on the wall, a big ass safe, and I got your name on it. You understand? When you're ready to leave, you leave. You understand what I'm saying? So we wasn't having no shootouts in there. It wasn't no fights. It wasn't none of that. We didn't do none of that. Everybody respected the hustle. You know what I mean? Because like I said, the game is to be sold, not told. So y'all see the Cash App on the screen. Hit that Cash App because the game is to be sold, not told. I'm giving y'all a lot of game, man. Look, I'm taking you all the way back to the 80s and 90s. You understand? Down through Miami, you know what I mean? To New York. I'm going to touch through Virginia and D.C. and all that in a minute, maybe. See how I feel, This is just a test run. Just a test run. So now, so we got that straight. So now we in Miami and they got the girl up on the stage, everybody groping her. Yo, true story, son. True story. True story. Because this one I know gonna sound wild. I seen a dude, you understand what I'm saying? Drop his shorts, you know what I mean? And run up in this white girl on stage while everybody's still groping her. And she bent over, couldn't even stand up, and dude hitting her from the back. Nowadays, they call that rape. Back then, they called that partying. All right, big shout out to the parties. Big shout out to the parties. You know what I mean? That's what they called it back then. Back then, they was just partying and having a good time. You do anything like that now, you going down for 25 to life, you can take unique old cell that he left behind. But true story, I'm in Miami, I see a dude run up in a girl on stage up in at Luke's joint. Because, I know y'all from Miami already know that all this is official, but you got people from West Bubba F, you know what I mean, that don't know no better, that look for something to criticize. Miami was so official that, you know what I mean, Luke used to do his shows, you know what I mean, and go to a whole nother state, even in his state, wherever he went. Big shout out to Luke Skywalker. Big shout out to Luke Skywalker. Now, calm down, man. Calm down. Relax, y'all. Relax. Big shout out to Luke Skywalker, like I said. Now, Luke Skywalker will go on the stage and do his thing, and he'll grab a dude from in the audience, bring him on stage, and have one of his dancers would sit there and willingly give him what they call it, fellatio. Whatever y'all call fellatio. You know what I mean? In other words, give him some head. You know what I mean? On stage with the whole crowd looking. You understand what I'm saying? Up at Mecca Audio, you know what I mean? Because I wound up taking everything I saw down there. Big shout out to Luke. I learned it from down bottom. That's why I did the thing. I did the show the other day, and I told them that Miley Cyrus stole twerking, and twerking came from Miami, and they said, nah, it came from New Orleans. Somebody mentioned Soulja Slim. Soulja Slim was a baby at the time that I'm talking about. When I seen it created, I'm just telling you what I seen. You know what I mean? And then it was a show, I forgot the name of it. I might bring it up later. It was a dude, what's his name? It was a dude that, that was from New Orleans. It was from Louisiana. And y'all correct me, put the name in the comment. He was from Louisiana. Then he got real big up in what the hell is that? He got real big up in Houston. And when he got big in Houston, cause they bought a whole lot of his records when he performed down there. He had some song called something with bitch in the title. You know what I mean? And then Luke Skywalker signed him. You know what I mean? I forgot his name. I'm gonna get him up here and interview him because, like I said, I'm just speaking my truth, man. I seen in Miami. He said that they was doing it in Miami, and then he brought it to, that they was doing it in Louisiana, then they brought it to Miami. But I witnessed it in Miami. You understand what I'm saying? I'm just telling you what I witnessed. All I talk is facts, what I know. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. You know what I mean? Okay. Read the comments. Okay. Yeah, so that's where we at. So my man telling me I could read the comments. So, that's where we at. So now, up in Club 2000, they used to have sex on the stage. They used to literally have sex on the stage. You understand what I'm saying? Picture that. They having sex on the stage, you know what I mean? Where in Club 2000, females was giving dudes head, dudes was eating females, and everything go. You know what I mean? Apologize to anybody that I put up on stage. You know what I mean? But that's how we partied. You know what I mean? Like I said, nowadays, what they call it, rape. you know. But the females was willing in those situations up in Club 2000. The joint on the stage with the white girl dude running up in the wood, because when she was pissy drunk, that's rape all day. Even back then, that considered a rape to me. You know what I mean? Because I stayed far hell from that stage. Even when they took outside in the parking lot and started screwing on the cars in the parking lot, I stayed away from that crap. But, you know, of course, I looked at it and I filmed it. I got a lot of that in tape. You know what I mean? A whole lot of that, you know what I mean? I got a videotape from back in then. Because I walked around what they call one of those VCRs. The big VHS camcorder you put on your shoulder. So I got a bunch of old tapes. So that's why I say anything I say I can match. But, you know, that's how that was now. Just so you understand. Now I'm up here, you know, I might have to jump off to go get my reading glasses because Lord knows I can't see these comments so I can hit some of these comments. You know what I mean? Because there's no way in hell I can see these comments. Let me take my glasses off. You know what I mean? Do I got my reading glasses over here? Because, you know, old man blind. Yeah, I got a pair right here. So now I'm going to read some of these comments. We're going to see where we at. But like I said, this is Throwback Thursday, so put your comments up. Melvin Barlett. Yeah, you remember the Rolex. You know? What's that Hawk? Okay, I see you. You know what I mean? Krieger Bailey. Okay, Man of Magic. All right. Harlem. You already know how Harlem do. Harlem went out of town and did what we do. We represent all day. You know what I mean? Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Okay, that's where we at. You know what I mean? So, you know, let me see. I got to scroll this screen. But that's where we at. Unique. What we call twerking today is an old dance that we have been doing since Africa. We call it makuka. Okay, well, come teach me about it. I'm talking about when I seen it here in America. Because like I said, you know, even if you want to say that, then we say they were doing it in Jamaica. You know what I mean? They were doing it in Jamaica. You know what I mean? They were doing it in Jamaica, you know, with the whining and the rubber dub. Y'all remember the whine and the rubber dub? Y'all remember Patra. If y'all don't know, Google Patra on YouTube and look at Patra, how she used to whine on the head and all of that. So they've been doing that from Jamaica, but I'm saying when it became here amongst the Americans is what I'm talking about. Because remember, Jamaica and Jamaicans was a whole nother world, like the Haitians was a whole nother world from the Americans. We had the Roman pub. Y'all remember, big shout out to the Roman pub in Miami. You had the Roman pub down there. You understand what I'm saying? And then you had Fifth Street on the beach. Big shout out Fifth Street. You know what I mean? For the Jamaicans. Roman pub was the y'all man. Let me finish the story. Now listen, Roman pub was for the Haitians. You know, Roman pub was for the Haitians. And Fifth Street on the beach was for Jamaicans. And then you had Luke Skywalker joint that was for the Americans. And you had Big Daddies. You had Pac Jam. You had big shout out to Strawberries. You know what I mean? You know, one of the first down there. You know what I mean? One of the first, not the first, so y'all don't go hating in the comments talking crazy. You know what I mean? So that's where we at. But, you know, if y'all got any questions now, y'all put them on the comment because I got my reading glasses on. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm still in my moment. You already know what it is. What is that? Mr. Mind. Yeah. Minder Vo Matas. You know what I mean? Y'all gotta help me pronounce some of these names, man. But big shout out and good looking on the super chat or whatever they call it. But I just want to come on here, give y'all a little early morning joint, you know, to see where everybody at, man. You know what I mean? Put the questions back up there on the screen so I can read these questions. I need to see what they talking about. But, you know, so that's how it was. You know, just giving y'all a little flashback and running it how we did it back then. Just so y'all fully understand that we was about that paper back then. When you get money, you go to any state and you take what you want, end the story, and that's it. We ain't having no crap and we ain't taking nothing. Para, song called you Better Think. Okay. Wine and Scale. You already know. My man, somebody know what's going on. My man Ron Books. Big shout out to Ron Books. Hey, Ron Books, hit me on my Facebook right now and come up here. I'm testing out my system. Hit me on my messenger at Unique Mecca Hall. Unique Mecca Audio is one name, and then Hall is the last name. Go to Facebook and hit me on that. I'm going to bring you up here, big bro, if you dress for the morning. You know, some of y'all late getting up. I like getting up early. You know, Marcus asked you. They had a club in Memphis like that back then. Today, it was called the No Name. You would see some freaky things going down. And even the Europeans had it downtown with Plato's Retreat, where I told y'all about Michael Jackson down there that everybody had a fit. You know what I mean? Because, you know, like I said, everything was going on, man. You know, okay, Melanin Rich, Nagas, what up? You know what I mean? Jamaica in the building. Oh, Craig Bailey, what up, Craig? That's my man, always hit me up. Was you on the street with the late Rich Porter? Of course I was on the street with Rich Porter. I was in Harlem. You know what I mean? Big shout out and rest in peace to Rich Porter. Big shout out and rest in peace to Rich Porter. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Listen, man. Ain't nothing fake about Unique. Only thing fake is the trolls and the ones that want to try and look for content and hate on what Unique say. But Unique got receipts for everything. So I don't trip on none of that. You know what I mean? So that's what it is. Now, I don't see the Cash Apps lighting up. I'm about to get off the screen because, like I said, I'm not going to be up here doing this for free because I'm from the old era where they know the game is to be sold, not told. You know what I mean? So, you know, big shout out to my man, you know what I mean? Mr. Minor Van, I don't even know how to pronounce it, big dog. No disrespect, but you know, me can't read. I learned from it in jail. Hey, yo, Ron Books, hit me on the Instagram messenger at Unique Mecca Audio Hall so I can bring you up here so you can let them know what this thing is. You know what I mean? Dig my man. Okay, Killer Cow. You know what I mean? What up? You know what I mean? I guess he was up north in Brooklyn. Okay. Oh, my Uncle Gus was up north. Okay, big shout out to your Uncle Gus family. You know how we do. We all stick together, you know? Yeah, I stay in the element. Unique, what we call twerking today. I read that one. Okay, I'm just skimming through this. Big shout out to my man Derek X today and everybody that joined the membership. Join the membership. I'm going to start doing lives for only the members. You know what I mean? And I'm going to start putting the videos up early for only the members. So join the full-blown, you know, what they call that, membership. You know what I mean? Here at the channel and get the exclusive joints that YouTube ain't going to let go up because sometimes they say I'm a little too wild. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's where we at. Double R, what up, son? You know, these are all my regulars. Big shout out to Miss T. You know what I mean? I don't see her there. There you go. That's what I'm saying. Somebody just shot me a little 30. Let me see who that. Sincere, Mr. 718. Hey, I knew he had to be from New York because New York know the game is to be sold, not told. You know what I mean? Salute, bro. I tell my son, my experience being incarcerated all the time, your stories help co-sign everything I tell him about why he doesn't ever want to end up behind the wall. That's a fact. Big shout out, family, and thanks for the lookout. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? That's how we look out, man. See, I helped his son, and for that, my brother donated a little $30, and I appreciate you, man. Big shout out. You know what I mean? Big shout out to Sincere, Mr. 718. You know what I mean? Because when I go to other channels, if I like the content, I tip. You know, if I go to a restaurant, I like the service, I tip. I go to a strip club and I like the strippers, she working it right, I tip. You know what I mean? You come to somebody's YouTube channel, not just mine, tip. I don't care if it's $1, $2, $5, whatever. Like my man Showed Love gave $30. That's how we do it over here at the Mecca. You know what I mean? So I'm going to teach y'all how this thing is played out. Because a lot of y'all don't really understand that the game is to be sold, not told. Y'all think you just run around, bounce around on YouTube channels and just do what you want to do. You know what I mean? Like it's nothing, you know, and don't want to, you know, donate nothing to the cause. We don't do that. Kasim Smith, big shout out. Thanks for the Cash App. You know what I mean? See, that's what I'm saying. We got them tuning in now, respecting the hustle and respecting the game. You know, Derek Easter Days, thanks for the Cash App. Kashmir, you know what I mean? So, you know, we do what we do, man. The one payment, okay. Black Jimmy. Big shout out to Black Jimmy. Andre Johnson. I'm gonna get back to a story. I just want to show love to the people that been looking out. Black Jimmy always look out. You know what I mean? So I had to shout him out on Derek Easter Day. Andre Johnson. You know what I mean? So you know people do donate, so they'll, you know, don't sit there because y'all be hating. Y'all just make it worse for other people because I'm not gonna be up here for nothing. Walter White, big shout out. You know what I mean? Coach W. You know what I mean? And that's it. The rest I'm going to put up, I normally put up when they Cash App and they show that love. But anyway, so now, I've been telling y'all about Chinese Jimmy. You know what I mean? We call him Little Jimmy. You know what I mean? I'm going to get to my little prison story now. I was at the little throwback. I'm going to go with a little throwback back in the prison. We had Little Jimmy. Little Jimmy was no joke, so you fully understand how this thing played. You know what I mean? Little Jimmy was a little Chinese dude, you know, we're going to call what they call Chinese, Asian. You know what I mean? No disrespect, so don't think that I'm disrespecting. But he was Asian. He was a little Asian dude, and he was from New York, but he didn't run with no certain car or nothing. You know what I mean? He didn't play them type of games. You know what I mean? They should go Pretty Gangster. Melvin Barnwell, good looking out. That's what I'm saying. Show some love. Now, little Jimmy was out there in California. He didn't run the New York car or nothing. He was, you know, he was Asian. So he did his own thing. He used to get the pack and do what he do, you know what I mean, and hustle. And while he hustling and doing his thing, you know, they started hating on him and they was plotting to, to rob him, you know. So They tried to roll up in the cell early morning, but he took a whole bunch of magazines. Big shout out to K Slade for the thick ass straight stuntings. You know what I mean? Big shout out to K Slade for making the material, the armor for the bulletproof vest. You know what I mean? The bulletproof penitentiary vest. So little Jimmy went and tied the books around his waistband, threw his shirt up over there. They couldn't see it. They rolled up in the cell early morning, tried to grab little Jimmy. Little Jimmy only about this big. Little Jimmy came out with that knife, swinging it every which way but loose. You know what I mean? They grabbed little Jimmy, tried to throw little Jimmy up over the rail and all that. It's early morning, like 6 o'clock. So about 6 o'clock in the morning, he found out from the night before they was going to come run up in there and get him. So instead of him letting them run up in there to come get him, you know what I mean? He was ready for him in the morning. And he ain't go checking with the police. He ain't go tell nobody because nobody wasn't running with him because he wasn't breaking bread. If you don't break bread, that's just for the youngins, man, that y'all talk about y'all going to go to jail, do this. You go to jail, whatever you get, whatever you make off the land, you got to break off, you know what I mean, your car, your homies, or somebody. Because just as easy it is to make money off the land, it's just as easy for you to sit there and get into, you understand what I'm saying, an issue over it, like a dude tell you he ain't paying you, or a dude come straight up and tell you that he getting ready to rob you. You know what I mean? That's how that go. You know what I mean? So don't sit there and thinking that nothing is easy with this. You know what I mean? Yeah, I met a few people from Toronto, but little Jimmy pushed the knife, punched them, and wound up in the hole. And, when he went back in the shoe, it followed him back there. Dude tried to make some noise. So check out what little Jimmy did. I'm going to give you a little prison story. All right, here we go. Gunshots. Gunshots for the prison story. Gunshots for the prison story. You know what I mean? Little Jimmy, right? Just so you see how vicious it is in prison. So if you youngins want to go play this game, play this game. Dude out there wasn't breaking bread with nobody. So when they, the Cali dudes rolled on him, nobody helped him. You know what I mean? But he held his own down, as he should, because he wasn't breaking bread to feed nobody off, the table that he was eating off of. So now he gets in the shoe, and when he in the shoe, he gets into it with a dude from, what was he from again? What that town? Good Peoples, man, official gangsters. You know what I mean? Big shout out, Bands 3. Good looking on the Cash App. Now, they had a dude, South Bend. He was from South Bend, Indiana. They had a straight gangster. I'm trying to get in touch with him before I give you his story. This dude was a straight gangster. And now, so you understand, when I say gangster, I mean prison gangster, street gangster. Prison is one world, and the people out here, the real gangsters out here in the real world, so y'all understand, don't take it all twisted, is the ones that go to work, you know what I mean? Stay out of jail, go to school, and take care of the family. That's the real gangsters. We was the suckers when we was out here selling drugs. But when we go in that prison system, now we become the prison gangster. And when we say gangster, meaning we do everything to survive under any means necessary. I got to tell y'all the Baby All joint too. If y'all want the Baby All stories, hit me up and let me know. Because they thought Baby All is banned from in the penitentiary. You know what I mean? Baby All is banned because things go crazy and dudes take Baby All and throw it on somebody's face and all that. You know what I mean? Gamecock band, bam, good looking family. Now, so Jimmy in the hole, and he gets into it with the brother from South Bend, Indiana, that was straight gangster. You know what I mean? Yeah, prison gangster. Not the gangster that's supposed to stay home and do the right thing like I'm doing now by trying to enlighten the youth. Some of these stories, I know they sound glamorous and all that, but it was just my life, so it's not to brag. It's not to do what they call that glamorize. Yeah, but it is glamorous. Let's keep it 100. You know what I mean? So you can't sit there trying to do all that crap. Go somewhere else, because if you talk stupid in my comments, I will block you. But anyway, so little Jimmy in there, he gets into it with dude, and little Jimmy the orderly. So the way they had it was, it was cells down this way, and then behind it, it was another set of cells, but it had a little alleyway between it like this that ran the plumbing. You understand? So when the pipes break, they had to go through the plumbing. So we used to go through the plumbing and then take, the plumber would take off, the pipes or whatever, and, give you whatever you got to get from behind the plumbing. But anyway, little Jimmy now was the orderly. He gets into it with a dude from South Bend that was straight gangster. Yeah, I'm going to say it again. Big shout out to South Bend, Indiana. He was straight gangster. So little Jimmy go in the back, and little Jimmy, he's making a knife to stab this dude. So he go right in the back of the dude's cell in that little sally port, and he's sharpening the knife. Now, picture you beefing. Now, if you youngins think that it's this sweet that you just going to go get in we don't do no arguing in the penitentiary. You ain't going to see two men in the penitentiary arguing and walking away without blood being spilled. You know what I mean? If two men argue, walk away, and no blood being spilled, his car going to punish him when he get back into the unit, or tell him, yo, you got to take your knife and go stab that dude. That's when I told you about, you know what I mean? I'll get back to that later. But anyway, so little Jimmy goes in the little sally port, and he's sharpening a knife. He's sharpening a knife. right in the vent to the dude from South Bend that he beefing with. Imagine laying in your cell, knowing you got a beef with somebody, knowing that you don't even have a knife, but he's in your vent, sharpening a knife to let you know every time it went, you know what I mean, from him sharpening it, you know what I mean? He's thinking, damn, he gonna try and put that joint in me. So you laying down, you know what I mean, like you trapped in a cage and you know a man got a knife getting ready to try and stab you and you don't have one. Now you're looking for something to make a knife out of. So they don't even let us have pens. You understand what I'm saying? Because if you got a pen, you put that in somebody's eye. If they give you a pencil, they give you a pencil this big. That way you can't hold it to stab nobody. You understand what I'm saying? So now he got to try and make a knife real quick in his cell. You know what I mean? Because he know dude get ready to come at him. You know? Only good thing is they let you get magazines in there so you can rip a couple of sheets up, take the magazines and tie some magazines around your waist because, you know what I mean? So you can have the armor like little Jimmy had when he was in the block. You know what I mean? But, you know, I'm going to get back into all that later. That was just to give you a little freshener on Jimmy. I got to part 3 because Jimmy went down to the, go back and watch the little Jimmy story for those of y'all that ain't see it. Little Jimmy went down to R&D the day he was being transferred and, you know, dudes was down there, you know, that he was beefing with. And you already know all hell broke loose. And then Jimmy gets to Oklahoma and he runs into one of his Chinese homies. Stop that. One of his Asian brothers. You know what I mean? Because it's YouTube. They take it all out of contents, you know. But, you know, went to one of his Asian brothers and, you know what I mean? They hooked up and now they get ready to put in work in Oklahoma City. That's where I left off at with little Jimmy part 3. You know what I mean? But I'm trying to get up with little Jimmy because little Jimmy might have made it home. Because little Jimmy do his thing, you know. I got to get ready to go to a dental appointment, but I just wanted to tap in for a minute to let y'all know what time it is. Let me put this back up. You know what I mean? So I want to give a big shout out. This was my little test run. You know what I mean? The good work I meant. Okay, that's something my man Ron. Oh, keep up the good work, family. I'm doing some work right now, but I'm gonna tell you this. Them Club 2000 was all that, and you're talking facts. Salute. That's what I'm saying. People stamp my stories. Ron Boog's official Harlemite. You know what I mean? That's who stamped my joints. Bigger BX. Big shout out to Bigger BX. You know what I mean? Big shout out to Bigger BX. Pretty gangster. Good looking on everything. Always holding me down. Give him my little shout out. You know what I mean? So you already know. Crazy K. All right? You know what it is. Gamecock. Double R. You know what I mean? Come on, man. You know what it is. I'm getting ready to tap out because I got to run up to this dental appointment and he an hour away. Take a little ride, spend a day with my son. Yeah. Oh, okay. Who that? King Wop. Yo, you say not one story about Booby. That's right. Because like I said, you know, I get in touch with the men because I'm family with these brothers. So I'm going to have Booby call in so he could talk to you himself. You know what I mean? That way, when I do get into telling the Booby stories, we don't have no disrespect to you, big bro. We don't have none of the trolls come in, tell me, oh, he telling on Booby. Oh, he this, he telling. Oh, because they look for anything to try and put a chink in the nigga armor, but ain't none of mine. Nigga, check the courthouse. Nigga, I ain't never told and never will. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. So that's why I tell the youngins, don't get involved in the street because now they raising you before you even get the handcuffs put on you to go tell something. And we ain't doing that. You understand what I'm saying? That's why I say don't get involved in the game because it ain't worth it. You know what I mean? Because you ain't trying to do time for another man, so stop it. I did 26 and a half years and made sure all my comrades stayed on the street. And that's why I was welcome to come back on the streets with my comrade and be respected. Big shout out, you know what I mean, to the other good brothers that kept it 100. Lou Sims, you know what I mean? Check him out on Vlad. You know what I mean? The big homie Farris. You know what I mean? We got Peter Shue, Kevin Childs. You know what I mean? We got my man Jimmy Fingers. Remember, go just type in freejimmyfingers.com in Google, or you can even text it to somebody, and it's going to turn into a link. Yeah, I created that for the homie. Big shout out. Big shout out to Fingers. Big shout out. My man Jimmy Fingers got 3 life sentences, 6 life sentences and 300 years. Just so y'all understand how real this thing is. Picture you hearing a man telling you that he sentenced you to 3 natural life sentences with no parole plus 300 years. So they expect after you do a life, you come back with another life. So I guess they figure you ain't a cat, so you ain't got 9 lives. Maybe you got 3 lives, so they're going to give you 3 lives. And then they're going to give you 300 years just in case you come back. That's how they treated my man. So make sure you go sign this petition at freejimmyfingers.com. I got a video up there. You can just put in Unique Mecca Audio 300 years and the video will pop up. That's the homie. You understand what I'm saying? King Jamin, what's up, family? You know what I mean? Melvin Baldwin, you know? But the brother that I'm trying to find, let me see. I like hearing stories of old New York gangster, Illis TV. That's what I'm here for, baby. That's what I'm saying. If you ain't trying to enjoy it, man, if you ain't trying to enjoy the show, just find somewhere else to go, man. I'm not going to be mad at you. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be mad at you. All right? King Jamin said he made his own knife. Corey Brown, what up? You know what I mean? Jeep doing your thing, keep doing my thing. You already know what I do, son. I just wanted to come in and try this live thing out. You know, I ain't really do the live. You know, all this YouTube is a little new to me. I know I'm doing good. Got a little 42,000 subscribers. But, you know, I'm learning this thing. That's like I had to learn about. They got trolls. Back in the day, listen what I'm saying, man. We had gangsters that bust their gun back in the days. You know what I mean? So I come home and I find out they got gangsters that bust their thumbs on keyboard. You know what I mean? And those are the gangsters they got today. And they feel real comfortable because YouTube allowed them to hide. You understand what I'm saying? And put up a different name. You know what I mean? And come up here and say anything to a man that you wouldn't normally say. You see my hat? This is man time. And that's what my subscribers is on, man time. So they don't come up here with a disrespectful comment. I had a few brothers call me on the Instagram or even called the number that I got flashing on the screen and told me, Unique, I don't agree with what you said. I met a brother from Chicago. You know what I mean? What was his name? I met a good brother from Chicago, hit me up. I think even from the South Side. I'll get his name next time. But I met a good brother that, you know, he DM'd me and said, man, I didn't agree with how y'all handled it when you spoke about Boston Sam and, you know, the white guys telling y'all, you know, telling the Boston car, and Sam ran with New York, because New York and Boston ran together just like we run with DC, Philly, or, you know, Baltimore. Because, you know, it'd be like a Muslim car, because we all Muslims, we all stick together. You know what I mean? And we'll hold each other down. Said he didn't agree with what I said, that, you know, being that I told him that, you know, the white dude said either we take care of Sam, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Or if they gonna handle it. But they didn't say it in that manner. I'm just saying that. But they just say, yo, you know, y'all gotta handle your man because he's selling knives to, you know what I mean? You know, to our peoples. You know what I mean? And vice versa. So me and him had a nice conversation for about an hour on the phone. You know, we exchanged numbers. I got him in my contacts and we kicked it. You understand what I'm saying? Just so you know, Wayne R, good looking for the Cash App. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's what it is, man. But we just do our thing and we represent to the fullest. So if you something I don't like, hit me on the Instagram. It's on the screen. You understand what I'm saying? And you can say whatever you want, foul or crazy. I ain't taking it personal. Like I said, I'm on man time. Make sure you check out my man Al Ra. Al Ra on Instagram. That's who did my little joint. You know what I mean? And he did the little shirt. Let me show y'all the shirt. You know what I mean? So y'all can cop your shirt. You know what I mean? So y'all know what time it is. All right? Y'all can cop your shirt. You have the right to remain silent, a.k.a. in the hood, we just say shut the F up. All right? So make sure you cop your shirt. You know what I mean? You can DM me for that or email me or whatever you want to do. You know, but I've been up here long enough. I just wanted to make sure, you know what I mean? Wayne R. Scott, good looking. You know what I mean? Bands, good looking. You know what I mean? So that's how we do, man. You know, it ain't no disrespect to nobody or, you know, nothing. We just come up here and we do it how we need to do it. All right? I love the prison stories, telling the real. I did time in, he was in Gilmer and Sandstone. Been home a year and a half. All right, well, hit me up, son. We let you come up here and talk about the experiences. I'm getting ready to set up some stuff. Supreme 19, what up, family? You know what I mean? Fly or Die. What is that? Jay Niceman. You know what I mean? And oh yeah, make sure y'all go over to The Connect. The Connect is the name of it on YouTube. He got the first part of a documentary that I did, helping a brother out. We doing something together. You know what I mean? And remember, freejimmyfingers.com, signischange.org petition before I go. You know what I mean? King Jamin, you said you ain't going back. Best thing everybody said all day. You know? Melvin Baldwin, I see you. Bigger BX, Derek Easterday. You know what I mean? Got to get my regulars. Double R. You know what I mean? Who's That TV? Pretty Gangster, always looking out. Much love. Corey Brown, you know how we do. You know what I mean? Daz. You know, my man Ron Borgs, Hunter K, you know, just giving the people that's bold enough to say something official in the comments. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's how we do. Gamecock, I see you, you know. But now I'm about to tap out because I got something to do. I just wanted to, come in, see how this thing working. and just let y'all know I'm gonna be doing more lives. I might even come back on tonight, talk some trash. Go register at Unique Mecca Audio TV. Unique Mecca Audio TV. All right? Unique Mecca Audio TV. And watch the video. It's the same as this. Unique Mecca Audio, but at the end it got TV. Subscribe over there. Let's get the numbers up. I want to do the lives over there so I can keep the pre-recorders over here. But I'm breaking it up because the numbers picking up so we can do this together. All right? So y'all make sure y'all fully understand that. Now I'm out. Let me put my little outro on. Look at how I'm learning how to do all this after 26 years in federal prison, giving y'all all this good game. Cash App on the screen, man. Don't be disrespectful. All right?
Hi guys, welcome to Platinum Cuisines. We're located in Freeport on the Nautical Mile. Just wanted to introduce my partner, Amy.
Hi guys, how are you? And this is my sister-in-law, Diana, another partner. I just ask that you come support our minority-owned business. We serve Asian fusion, Caribbean cuisine, and we have a beautiful restaurant located on the Nautical Mile in Freeport, New York. And we're asking that you come check us out and also make sure to tune in to Mecca Audio TV.
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime. Fresh out the can of 26, yeah. Heat back on the strip, getting back in the mix. Yeah. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Real. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops. Mecca Audio.